Hi, can you hear us? And then I had a camera issue, and so we're all good. One, two, three, four, five,
Can't
six, seven,
remember,
8, 9,
because I watched
10,
it home the
11,
last
12,
meeting a few weeks
13,
ago.
14,
All the
15.
technical difficulties. Oh, they kept repeating. And I remember I was
Teresa, I'm Holly. Nice to meet you. What day you are?
been
Well,
embarrassing.
you're
It
gonna
was
get a
so,
voicemail
well,
from
it was
me, Dave,
nerve wracking
because
because we had.
Because I-
Vote in
the camera was.
So you're trying to. And everything.
It was, I didn't have, I missed the plug, but I found the plug.
So can they
plugged in,
retrieve?
plugged in. It was
it,
picking
or
up
is
the
it lost?
laptop.
So
camera
no,
versus
what we
the-
did was we just used a computer
Oh.
and just recorded. So we
Okay.
all sat around
Let's
one
see how they-
computer.
And then can you
That's okay. We're all good. Just ignore my panicked voicemail, please. All right, thank you.
Hi.
It's 11:30. I'm going to call the meeting to order. We will go ahead and start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Fireball. All right, then.
Madam Chairwoman, if I may, we have a guest that's on Zoom. And this is-
Yes, we've got another guest.
We have another
Good
guest
morning.
that's here as well. This
Good
is
morning.
Joanne Zygmunt, and she is with Old Colony Planning Council.
Hi, Joanne. Thanks for
Hi.
joining us.
My pleasure.
We will, we have a couple things to do, but then we'll be on your topic at some point soon. Thanks very much. All right, I'll start with a couple of quick announcements. These are all the normal ones. This meeting is being recorded by the local scene. Anyone intending to make an audio or video recording of this meeting should notify the chair at this time. Anyone? Anyone? I don't know if this open position still exists at Old Colony Elder Services Board of Directors, but if it does, and it's something that you're interested in, please reach out to Mary Beth. There have been, and there are several open volunteer opportunities at the Council on Aging. So if this is something that you're interested in, please reach out to Mary Beth. And then a reminder that our email for the advisory board is coa-ab@kingstonma.gov. Do we have anyone here for open forum? Just wanted to make sure you weren't here for, you're just listening. It's all good. Okay. We're going to pass by the secretary's report today. We did not get one from Mary Harriman. So we'll push that to next month for review and approval ultimately. Okay, that would be the June report, which we don't have yet. Next month is what? September. There we go. All right. Very good. I'm going to turn this over to Mary Beth because the first thing on our agenda is the presentation, discussion, and possible vote for the needs assessment with Old Colony Planning Council. Planning Council?
Old Colony
Planning Council.
Yes,
So
OCPC.
I'm going to let you go ahead and lead that for me.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. So as we are all aware, we've been working on this initiative now for probably a year and a half or so, maybe perhaps even closer to 2 years. And initially we had brought UMass Boston on board with us to do the needs assessment. And we've gone through a number of requests trying to find the money for the needs assessment. And we're kind of sitting here right now because we're still in that place looking for the dollars, but I'm here to tell you that I believe that there is light at the end of the tunnel. As I said, we have Joanne Zygmunt, who is on Zoom today. She's the senior planner with Old Colony Planning Council. And I reached out to them after speaking with Joanne Moore from Duxbury, that is the COA director there. And I'm happy to say that the Board of Selectmen just recently voted to accept their age and dementia-friendly report and make it official
Duxbury.
in Duxbury
Right.
that they are moving forward with this process and going to be putting the committees together to address the first 3 steps. When I spoke with Joanne, I want to make a correction. I was under the impression that the entire process was just going to cost us $10,000 as opposed to the cost of $35,000. After talking with Joanne, she says, well, the needs assessment is $10,000, but let's talk about the other piece of it. So she introduced me to Karen Peterson, who was supposed to be here today. She may be coming in later on because she had indicated she was going to be here. Karen Peterson is the representative from Beth Israel Deaconess in Plymouth, who was in charge of the community health grant. She has helped both Plymouth and Duxbury find the dollars for their age and dementia friendly initiative. In speaking with her, she said to me that she feels that we have a very, very good chance of receiving the money from them when the process opens up during the fall. I believe it's October 1st, if I'm not mistaken. My conversation with Joanne was, she had, as I mentioned, she had led me over to Karen but she gave me quite a lengthy process for how all of this goes. And I'm gonna turn it over to her shortly, but I want to say it this way. You know how I've been saying all along that the needs assessment really is a master plan? It's a master plan for seniors. Well, I'm gonna stop saying for seniors, because very simply put, it's a master plan, and it's a master plan for Kingston. And Old Colony Planning Council is the planning arm of, whatever Kingston is looking to do. And they work very closely with Keith Hickey, the planning board, the zoning board of appeals, and in particular with Valerie Massard, who is our planner for the town of Kingston. Valerie was instrumental in helping Plymouth, while she was still employed there, to receive their grant dollars to be able to move forward on their initiative as well. What I love about the approach that Old Colony Planning Council has is that they look at this the way that I look at this. This is not an initiative just for seniors. We're in this to look at this project, and I keep using this as an example, and I know you're going to get sick and tired of me saying this, but if we need to build sidewalks because we need to be able to do something with modes and means of transportation, be it bicycle or whatever, the sidewalk that you build is going to be used by a senior in a wheelchair or a walker, but it's also going to be used by a mother pushing a baby carriage. And so hence, we're not looking at this as an age-friendly initiative for Kingston. My feeling is, and we should consider this and have this discussion down the road, changing the name of what it is that we're doing. Salem's is Salem for all ages. Duxbury has the same type of approach to this. They understand, as does OCPC, that this project impacts everyone. And their approach is unlike UMass Boston. Once the needs assessment is done, they don't leave us hanging. They work with us. They help us build the committees. We identify through the needs assessment what are the top 3 areas, the domains of livability that we've talked about. The 2 typically that come to mind are the, housing and transportation are generally the top 2. But in Duxbury's case, they had socialization and communication, and that was very important to them. So you don't take on all 8 of those domains at once. The 3 that show up in your needs assessment that are the top 3 are what OCPC works on. And they stay with you through this process. They help you with the planning, they help you determine them, and they help us build consensus within the community to help everyone understand that while the Council on Aging is the board that's pushing this forward, this really is a townwide initiative. Now, clearly, there's going to be some things that we can and can't do predicated upon what we know we're hearing about, the next year's budget and how tight things are. But if you don't start, you're never gonna be able to take anything on. And so my feeling is, in working with Joanne and working with Karen, I can handle that piece of it. And with that said, I'd like to turn it over to her because she can go through the process with you and talk to you about why OCPC would be the natural partner for us. Joanne.
Thank you very much, Mary Beth. That was a really beautiful and succinct summary. For those of you who have not worked with Old Colony Planning Council before, we're a quasi-state agency responsible for serving 17 communities in this region with their planning needs. That includes the coastal communities, Duxbury, Plymouth, Kingston, out to about Easton, and then from the top, roughly sort of Avon, all the way down to Plimpton. So our role really is to help our municipalities with the planning needs that they have. If they don't have town planners, you guys are fortunate that you do have a town planner. But even with communities that have planners, we know that they can't do everything that's often required of a planner these days. We do a lot of work with Kingston on transportation planning. Working through Val Massard. We also do a lot right now. We're working through both through Val and Keith, as well as through the water board on a regional water study that's looking at water supply across our whole region, and Kingston is part of that. So we do a lot of different kinds of work. And that gives us an advantage when it comes to something like this age-friendly process, which really, as Mary Beth described it, is a master plan. But I think the difference between this and a traditional community master plan is that the social elements are a little bit more pronounced in this one. And we'll get to that in a minute when you see what AARP defines this process as. And our approach is a little bit different than some of the other folks out there who do similar action plans. We do see this very much as a co-design process. My philosophy as a planner, and speaking for most of the planners at OCPC, we don't plan at our communities, we plan with them. We see ourselves more as facilitators. You guys hold the knowledge. We basically just collect it all, help process it, and then put it into recommendations that are implementable. So this age-friendly process very much relies on strong participation from town staff and community members of different boards and commissions or volunteers to make it all work in the end. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to share my screen here and share just a few slides that I have that help illustrate this process. Let me just make this bigger. Can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Okay. So age-friendly, as Mary Beth said, it does not mean that we're looking at only the needs of residents who are 60 plus in the community. What we're really looking at, because everybody is aging, right? No matter what age you're at, everybody still ages, is how to make a community more livable for everybody across all the ages. This here is taken directly from AARP. I'm not going to read it to you. You can read it yourself. But the key thing here is that the framework that AARP has developed, it can be used to organize and prioritize a community's work to become more livable for older residents as well as people of all ages. And the common example that we use is sidewalks, but you'll see that across the board with all the other things as well too. So for example, in Duxbury, there was an emphasis on mental health as well. And the approach was from the communications and information perspective. You know, how can we get better information out there around mental health resources to our community? The mental health needs of older folks are a little bit different than they are from younger folks, but ultimately everybody benefits from that information. And folks who are under 60 nowadays are also caretakers often of folks who, you know, are older. So it's information that they need as well too. So it really is about making the community livable for all ages and digging into areas that sometimes aren't focused on in kind of traditional planning processes. These are AARP's domains. They do have 8 areas of focus. I can send the link through Mary Beth later if you want to read about each one specifically. Some communities in Massachusetts have chosen to take on all of these issues in one planning process. Our approach at OCPC is we think those people are very ambitious, a little crazy in a good way, but doing all 8 at once for us, we think is very, it's just too much, especially if you want to start implementing actions as well. You don't want to be planning for, you know, 2 or 3 years before you get to where you are with, you know, what actually needs to be done. So our approach is to, using the community assessment that we do, help the community identify 3 areas to start with. So any 3 of these domains, focus in on those, do a really good job at understanding the needs in the community with regard to those needs. And then once the action plan is developed and the town is on its way to starting to work towards some of those goals in that plan, they can turn their attention to kind of looking at these other areas further down the line. But this way you get momentum because you're going quicker. And you're also kind of diving deeper into each of these issues. To focus on 8 things looks very different in 1 year than to focus on just 3. The process that we take is summarized very broadly in this chart here. Essentially, it begins with the town joining the AARP network of age-friendly communities, which your town already has done, and then to establish a committee. In Easton, the select board issued a I forget what they called it specifically, but essentially like a mandate for the establishment of an age-friendly advisory committee, I think they called themselves, if I remember rightly. In Duxbury, the same thing happened, but they called themselves, I think, the Age-Friendly Task Force. So most communities do set up a formal board to not only develop this plan, but then to guide and advocate for implementation following the plan. There are other models for that, which I talked a little bit about with Mary Beth. In some communities, the Council on Aging Board might also be the committee for the plan and just take this up as part of, the board responsibilities. Sometimes that's, in our opinion, a little too much because you guys already have so much going on as a COA to begin with, that taking this on is, quite a bit more. You could also establish a subcommittee, under your direction. Just recruit some additional volunteers as a subcommittee of your board to then serve as this task force on the age-friendly action planning. So there's multiple different ways of establishing a committee, but basically the process does require, a group of 8 to 10 people who are committed to meeting on a monthly basis, sometimes twice monthly, depending on what's happening, to really drive this forward. And what that looks like is that it begins with the community survey. So we do in the survey include questions around all 8 domains so that you do have information about all of them. And we also ask the community to rank the importance of each of them as well. And that's how we use the survey to then inform the selection of the 3 areas to work on. So once the survey is completed, we'll present those findings, we'll talk about what it all means, and then your committee, in whatever form it takes, would then make the decision of which 3 areas to focus on. And just because something comes up as number 1, it doesn't necessarily mean that that has to be focused on. There may be really good and legitimate reasons to put that one aside for now. For example, if there's already a planning effort related to it underway in the community. So then over a period of, so usually the survey takes about 1 to 2 months, I'd say probably 2 months. We try and get a lot of responses. So the promotion side of things is very important, and we rely on the committee to really help promote this in their community. And then we spend roughly about 6 months or so learning about the areas and the topics. So we'll have guest speakers at the committee meetings who come in and talk about, for example, if you choose to do transportation, talk about some of the transportation issues in the town. We'll, alongside those formal committee meetings with experts, we'll also do interviews and focus groups as needed, depending on what topics are chosen. So we might decide to interview certainly your DPW director, if transportation is an issue. Your town planner, we might want to talk to, if you have like a highway commission or a sidewalk committee or somebody like that, we might want to interview that chair. Focus groups are helpful as well too. So in the case of Duxbury, for example, we had a focus group on each topic, and it brought together some town staff with some residents who just have an interest in this issue and have sort of advocated on different angles for it. And experts in the subject. So for example, in our mental health focus group, we had a representative from Beth Israel Deaconess come out and talk to us about, what she knows about the community based on her work at the hospital. So after that sort of 6-month or so process, we start pulling everything together into a draft plan. And that really sounds kind of like a lot, but it kind of happens organically through the process as we're having our meetings and, we're having conversations and discussions and people are bringing up ideas and points. I'm taking notes in the background, already kind of formulating what some of this plan is going to look like. Once we have that draft ready, we go out to a public participation process. So we would want to present that draft to the community, give them an opportunity to feedback on it. They can either do that at the public meetings, or they can also do it through email or through an online form, however we decide to do that. And then once the public participation period ends, we make changes to the draft report if needed. In the case of Duxbury, for example, all of the public input pretty much was either so specific and detailed that it only influenced implementation, not actually any changes in the report itself, or it was just overall supportive of the initiative. So sometimes there are changes that are made, sometimes there aren't. And once the plan is in its final form, we present it to the select board for adoption. Or sometimes, if in your case, for example, the town set up a separate committee, or if it set up a subcommittee under the COA board, it might be a presentation to the COA board for adoption or recommendation before it goes to the select board. But the last step is sort of the formal town adoption by the select board. And then from there, OCPC steps away, and the committee that you've set up is charged with leading that plan forward. So they advocate for the recommendations and actions that are in there. Some of the recommendations and actions can actually be done by volunteer members. One example of that from Duxbury was redesigning their website to make it more accessible. And there was a recommendation that there are some graphic design folks who have the expertise to do that within the COA volunteer universe. So maybe they could use them to make some of these changes to the website. They also report annually back to AARP on progress. In the case of Duxbury, they've committed themselves to reporting twice annually on progress to the select board so that things can get, continue to move forward. And the committees are also, pursuing grants and different partnerships. So the Duxbury project really connected a lot of dots with other boards and committees that are in the community already, as well as some just community-based organizations as well who are doing work that aligned with what the Age-Friendly Action Plan wanted to achieve as well. And then, the committee chooses what they want to do. They can focus for the next year or two just on this action plan with the 3 domains, or they can do half implementation and then turn their attention to another domain if they like and start developing sort of an added chapter to their action plan for the 4th domain they want to focus on. It's pretty fluid at that point. And OCPC obviously is, well, maybe not obviously, but OCPC is always there for our communities if they have questions. And we're always trying to share grant resources and opportunities as well too. So although we won't be actively working with you on the implementation stage, certainly we're a resource for you if you have questions or ideas. You can read this yourself later. I can share these slides, but these are just the 3 areas that Duxbury and actually Easton as well selected to start with. And this, I wanted to just give you an example of something in Duxbury's action plan, just so you can see what it looks like. So at the end of the day, for each of your areas of focus, you come up with a vision. And then under that vision, you have 1 or more goals that you establish. And then it would go even deeper to establish some strategies and actions for those goals. So essentially the actions at the end of the day are the implementation. Who's going to do what? In this case, we didn't say by when, but if the committee wants to try and determine by when, that's always something that can be potentially done as well too. But it does get very detailed. Now, it might get this detailed for you as a community. It might not. If you look at Duxbury's plan, Easton's plan, which I didn't get a chance to pull up this morning, theirs is actually broader. I believe it only has goals and strategies. It doesn't have any actions. So they decided that they just wanted to identify their goals and strategies, and then as a committee work on developing the actions on their own afterwards. So again, there's flexibility in the detail and the presentation of this as well, which is something we'd start to unpack at the very beginning of the project. And this map I just wanted to share with you are some of the, and it's not completely up to date, but these are the communities in Massachusetts that are currently part of the AARP network. So there are quite a few. I believe there are probably about 5 or 6 in our region of 17 right now, with a lot more interested in becoming so. So it's definitely become a movement, not just across the nation, but certainly within Massachusetts as well. So I'll stop there. Any questions? Anything I can clarify or explain better.
Thank you for that, Joanne. I guess I do have a couple of questions. In the other towns that you've worked with, developing all of this, not just the survey, but obviously the rest of it, who have you found have become the typical types of members of these committees? You know, not exclusively, I'm assuming not exclusively board members of the Council on Aging, but what are typical other, if we wanted to brainstorm to figure out if we were going to form a committee, a subcommittee or whatever, what have you found have been powerful or valuable other people within the town that you've seen on committees?
So in Easton, the select board in their resolve included an actual select board representative. So in their committee, there is a select board representative. In Duxbury, they didn't include a select board representative as part of the committee, but they did engage select board members through the interview and focus group process and the public participation process. In both cases, they did include their council, their COA directors. They also, in the case of Duxbury, their COA has a media manager, so she was included as part of the committee on the communication side of things. It was particularly helpful. We also had the former chair of the COA board who participated as the chair of the task force in Duxbury. In Easton, the chair of the board was a woman who had been involved in multiple other initiatives in the community. She was, for example, on their master plan committee like a year or two before their age-friendly committee was formed. So certainly folks who, if you can get a select board member, that is helpful, but their time is often very limited. The Council on Aging directors, super important, and any staff that they think might be necessary to help lead it forward. We've had other members from boards or committees in town that are aligned with these kinds of broad goals are helpful too. So for example, in the case of Duxbury, they now have the chair of their open space committee on their age-friendly committee, because that way they can ensure that, you know, those two boards communicate with each other when they're doing work on these issues. So part of what we do as well, if we moved forward, would be to kind of look at that, like what boards and committees in town might be valuable to have representation from. Several of the folks in both of the communities were just representatives of the community. So for example, in Easton, one member was a member of the local veterans group. And so he was on there kind of with a veterans hat on. There was also in Duxbury, a woman involved who had a lot of experience in her life with some mental health issues, not necessarily herself, but just broadly working and knowing people in that area. So it was a personal passion of hers. So she was on that group. So I think it depends on, also I should mention, in the case of Easton, they appointed the committee before they did the survey. So the committee was involved in that process. But in the case of Duxbury, the survey was simply conducted under their COA. And then the committee was formed after the survey was completed, and the domains were sort of selected by the COA based on the survey results. And there are kind of pros and cons to both. The advantage of doing the survey first and then setting up your committee is that you can pull in people who are related to the top 3 areas that you actually want to work on. But the disadvantage is that those people then don't get any input into how the survey is designed or how it's promoted in the community. So pros and cons to both. I don't think either is worse than the other though. So it's more of a, I think, kind of a logistical issue. And also very specific to how easy it is to get people to volunteer for stuff in a community. because I know that can be a challenge for some of our towns and cities.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Does anybody else have any questions? Or thoughts overall in general?
I know I spoke with, is it Linda Reardon? Is it Linda Reardon that's on the Board of Health, the grant committee? Linda Reardon came by the other day because we have a new nurse here at the senior center. And one is working under the grant, one's from the Board of Health themselves. She's very, very interested in participating in this process. So I think we haven't even pushed this out the door or had any conversations or even done any social media on it. So I think that if we have a chance to do a little bit of exploring, we'll be able to find other individuals in addition to those that Joanne just mentioned.
Sure. Sure.
And it
I
can
mean,
change as well. Oh, sorry.
no, go for it.
I was just going to say it can change as well too. So for example, because the process is longer, there were a few people who are dropping off in Duxbury that then had to be replaced. So you get kind of new people coming on board through the process as well as it becomes more well-known in the community. And now they're actually working with the committee, has its own subcommittees, each one focused on one on housing, one on transportation. So you can definitely snowball as it grows as well too. So don't feel like whoever you select at the beginning has to necessarily be the only people in the future.
How large do you normally find the typical committees? How many people?
What's most
Or is there an
effective
average?
usually? Yeah, so I'd say the average is probably between I'd say 6 to 10 people. I would say you probably wouldn't want to do any fewer than 6 because sometimes people can't make every meeting. And you certainly, I don't think, want to do more than 12 because then it gets a little bit unwieldy in terms of decision making and moving things forward. So I'd kind of shoot for, I think 8 to 10 would be a great goal.
That's helpful. Thank you.
My thought was this, in having Joanne come forward and give you guys an overview of what Old Colony Planning Council can do. I was really, on the one hand, when I found out that we're back to the 35,000 cost again, I was a little disappointed because we've had such a difficult time raising that. But in talking with Joanne, as I mentioned to you back a couple months ago, I do have some funds available in the formula grant that's going to allow me to kick off this process with the needs assessment. So I've identified $10,000 out of the formula grant that we can use to start the process. The trick that's going to happen is going to be talking to, as I mentioned, Karen Peterson from the Beth Israel Community Grant, and Keith. If I don't know if you've heard from the Commonwealth yet about the compact grants that they've opened up yet, they haven't. Okay, so they usually send the notification out to the town administrators and town managers, and as you know from last year, our silo goes very quickly. So perhaps we can. I'm very optimistic on this. I mean, my feeling is, after talking to Joanne, after talking to Karen, you lose heart when you've been doing something for a long time and the pieces just don't seem to be able to come together. But after talking with them, I feel as though we're able to, if we can get the needs assessment done, it may take us a little bit of time to pull the other dollars together, but I think we can manage this. I really do. I think that this is a doable project, and I would really like to see this, the needs assessment go forward so we can determine where we're at. That's a huge first step for us. And so you had in the past voted to have UMass Boston do the needs assessment. So when Katie and I talked about this, I'd like you to have the discussion as to how you feel about Old Colony, and would you like them to proceed, and if so, would you take a vote to be able to say to do that, to take the vote today for that?
Does anybody have any comments that they want to lead off the conversation?
I think we should go for it. Give it a chance.
Excuse me, you have the 10,000 to start,
I do.
so then it will go from there, as looking for grants or whatever.
Yes, as I said, Karen indicated to me they have funded other age-friendly initiatives. And when you say to someone that you are going to put the first bit of your own money down on the table, you're showing them that you have skin in the game, so to speak. And Karen loved that aspect of it, that I was able to use my formula grant to be able to help this process get started. It's worth points on the grant itself. She would, she basically said, this is not a difficult grant to get. It's just that it doesn't open up until October 1st. But again, we're back, you know, in a way back to square one where we started. And if you vote this, the reason I asked Keith to be here today was to be able to know that you had, and then move forward with the idea that we could then bring it in front of the Board of Selectmen. Hopefully I can get Joanne to come in for another Zoom meeting that evening and do the same kind of explanation for them and explain where we are at. They deserve, at this point in time, like I said, it's been a year and a half, and they deserve an update on the process to let them know that our commitment hasn't waived at all, but that I feel so much more that I have somebody here having our back to do this, because they've done it before, they understand what this is like, and their process is to stay involved with Kingston all along the way, because they are the planning arm for us.
I did attend the Duxbury original meeting. And since that meeting, I have been very excited about the whole overview. I think it's not just for us, it's for people aging into our group. There are a lot of things that will help our middle-aged people as they age. I think it's a great program, and I see no reason why we shouldn't at least try to get the first assessment and see what we can plan to do to help it move along. I was very impressed with the Duxbury presentation. I'm
Right.
glad I went.
Does the 10,000 fully cover the assessment, the survey?
Joanne, I'm gonna pass that one to you. Based on our conversation, you felt that the 10,000 would cover the needs assessment, and we could be able to move forward as long as we were going forward with working with Karen or the compact grant or the other grant opportunities that you had set me.
Yes, so for the 10,000, we'd be able to advise you on your committee, however you want to set up and pursue that part of things. And we will also we'll design with your committee or with the COA board or however it goes, we'll design the survey together based on AARP templates to customize it for Kingston specifically. And then OCPC will analyze the results and present a summary of findings to you. And then we'll help facilitate the conversation around making some decisions about where to start with which of the topic areas or domains. And throughout the process as well too, you know, working with Mary Beth too, we can help send grant ideas your way, which we kind of do anyway. You don't have to pay us to do that anyway. That's why I put Mary Beth onto these other folks, but we'll try and help you find the money as best we can to continue the work beyond the survey. But
That was
that's
the nature of my
freebie. That's
question,
not
so
part
thank
of the
you.
town grant. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wanted to make sure that if we implemented and, you know, the $10,000 and God forbid couldn't get a grant to, you know, how much do we get? And it sounds like we still get the full assessment or the full survey, I guess is the right word. And we get some analyzed results from that survey. The rest of the money would help more with the facilitation and in those pieces. So that helps alleviate a little bit of my concern of if we start and can't get any further with the funding, are we gonna just be left holding the bag kind of, so to speak?
We're still one step further down the road. That's my feeling. I think a lot of times the first step is always the hardest one.
Mhm.
And it's been that way for us. And I think part of it was that we were just asking for the whole $35,000 up front. And unfortunately, you know, you saw how things had, you know, we had to withdraw the article from the Springtown meeting and everything. So it was in speaking with Joanne Moore, she couldn't have said nice things about Joanne and about Old Colony helping them with this process.
Mhm.
So, and just FYI, the Kingston Livable for All, is that just not waiting for us to just make a rubber stamp and call it that? I mean, I'm gonna go back to this master plan part of it. She's right. The social piece is the piece that they really emphasize. And when we talk about doing this, but our master plan, if I'm not mistaken, hasn't been updated in 13 years. Is that correct? Or are they working on it or what?
So the master plan was, I think it was done more recently, 13 years from now. There needs to be an update, and my only, respectfully, my only suggestion would be to make sure that there's a distinction between what you're trying to do and the overall town master plan, which deals with the entire community and the potential needs and hopes and goals of that community over the next decade. This, it was more called a strategic plan or
Survey.
plan.
Mm.
You know, it's more narrowly focused to, you know, serving either this age group or people like me that are almost at that age group. Sadly.
We
and
worry about it.
I appreciate that. I worry about me too. And, you know, so it could be kind of a more extensive chapter of the overall town master plan. And that piece of it's done and incorporated. And I don't know, I'm hiding in the corner.
Come over here.
Ginny, intentionally, she's already seen my face right now.
We just may not be able to quite get you on the,
There's a chair right over
There's a
here.
chair right over
I'm
here.
good. No, I'm fine.
I hear you, Keith.
He's shy. He's very shy.
Oh.
Just, you know, I would look to OCPC to kind of to guide us on how, what makes the most sense? Is it a piece of the overall master plan? Is it an appendice or an addendum to it?
Yep.
But I just want to make sure, I would, I guess, try to call it something different than a master plan, just to reduce the risk of confusion about what the document is and what it entails, so.
sure. I
If
mean, I know
may
we've been,
respond to that.
please.
So I should have mentioned this. What we try and do, so as part of the process after the needs assessment, what we do is sit down and review all of the planning documents that a community has. So it could be master plans, housing production plans, open space plans. There's a whole slew of plans that communities sometimes have. And oftentimes we find stuff in there that's actually really relevant to what we're trying to do in the age-friendly plan. And we literally just cross-reference that. And you'll see that in Duxbury's plan, that there is, especially in the transportation and housing section, there's a lot of referral back to their master plan, because a lot of those actions in their master plan is actually age-friendly. But there are things that aren't in the master plan that are relevant to, for example, housing and transportation. Like master plans typically don't recommend developing programs to help folks adapt their homes and providing resources for that, for example. So we try and align as much as possible. But Keith, if you guys are thinking about doing a master plan anytime soon, we should have a separate conversation about that, because I think in that case, the best way forward, if this all assumes that housing and transportation are, through the survey, shown to be important to people, if that comes out as 2 areas of interest for the age-friendly action plan, it might be better to actually just incorporate age-friendly into that master plan for those 2 chapters, and then work on maybe 3 other areas as part of this initial process. So we can definitely, you know, think through that, and Keith, you know, have a think and let us know. But there are different ways that we can go about doing it. But our goal at the end is always to make sure that everything's on message across the board and really as integrated as best it can be.
I appreciate that. Well, I'll check with Val when I get back to the town offices, and I know she's talked about wanting to update the master plan, because some of the information in the most recent one that needs some updating.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? I mean, I know in the past, we've obviously very strongly supported the desire to move forward with a survey, you know, getting it started. And at the time it was pursuing funding from other sources. You know, this is a different situation and a little bit unique, where we're able to potentially spend some of our own money to get this started. I think the need and the desire to still get all the information that we're talking about is still super high, but I'm just one of a handful of people here. I think the only, I don't know at what point in time we have to choose actual committee members. I'm a little concerned about having a committee, who would be on our the committee. It may not be, this committee may not overlap completely the other committee, for lack of a better word, the age-friendly committee,
Yes,
survey
task
committee,
force.
task
Oh,
force,
task
we'll call it
force.
a task force.
Rasmus, but she said something I think that you should consider. My approach when I looked at this, I thought, and I hadn't even realized they did it the other way in Easton, but the COA committee was the one that came together with the survey, and then it wasn't until the survey results were in that they came and said, okay, now let's pull the task force together.
Sure.
Because you know the domains that you want to work on. And so you're able to actually designate those
Sure.
people. Joanne's right. There's pros and cons on both sides of this, but at least it's allowing this committee to maintain the control, if you will, for how things go forward and how things move. I don't know that, and this is just my opinion, I don't know that you would want to cede your authority on this to another group or oversee them directly so that you have the final say. But I do believe that the work, I said this all along, you guys are all about what is good for the seniors in the town of Kingston. I run the senior center and you guys are the policy, procedures, and ideas people. So this is being handed, this is something that I think you are so ready to just dig into and just start working on. It's what you were always meant to be doing all along. That's my sense.
Sure. I'm just gonna be perfectly frank, and transparent with my personal concern that, in our month to months and interactions, some members of our board are not as, involved in the data, in some of the stuff that's required just for our own board meetings. So I am a little bit concerned if that were to fall, if building the survey also just fell on our board.
Make it, again, I
So I'm
think that,
concerned about that.
I think the idea of coming together with a subcommittee is what we're talking about. It
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily have to fall on this committee. You could put that subcommittee together to be able to do that. But I think the bigger decision has to be made. All those details you can work
Sure.
out for yourself.
But do we
But the
want it in
bigger
general?
picture, do you
Right.
want it in general? Do you
Right.
want to move forward with those OCPC? Are you recommitting to this?
Yep.
I think that's really where we're at right now at this moment.
Sure. I mean, yeah, anybody have questions? Anybody else have concerns or similar concerns? That's where I would want to make sure that, I think we can do this in multiple parts, and we can take a vote today. If everyone thinks that we're ready for this piece of simply committing to moving forward. And being willing to spend the money. And being willing to, as our group, then figure out the subcommittee. I mean, this isn't one or two people now running this ship. We have to figure out who is specifically running it, this subcommittee and this task force or whatever. And it can't fall to the same couple of people that run our board meetings, is I guess my concern.
Yes, and I can see why you would say that.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a concern of mine as well.
So as important as it is, we can certainly take the vote to support the spending of the money to get the process started. But I'm gonna need everybody else to help commit to figuring out the next steps.
I think we can start this process. It's going to be a long process.
Yeah.
Having come from Marshfield and been through this, it took a long time. You could talk about all this, but it's slow. It's slow.
Sure. No. Anybody else have any comments? Does anybody want to make a motion to, no, that's right, you actually can't. Yeah.
So go for it, girls.
Donna, go ahead.
To start this process.
And commit to the,
Yes.
and commit to the the $10,000 initial funding from COA funds. Is that the motion? Does anyone have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yep. Okay, great. All right, let's get this party started.
If you could put us on for a meeting, I'll get some dates from Joanne that she's available and just set that up so we can have the conversation with the board of selectmen as well. Thank you, Joanne, for being here today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you all very much for your time. I look
First
forward to
step.
working with you all.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Jillian.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yes, that was actually very helpful, very informative, and yeah, we'll be relying on you very heavily.
Yes.
All right,
Oh,
take
yeah,
care,
probably.
everyone.
Thank you.
We could. Why don't we take, would you guys want to take like a 3 or 4 minute break just for a minute? I actually need a glass of water and is that okay with everybody?
Sounds good.
Lucy doesn't get a vote.
Lucy can't vote.
We'll reconvene in 3 minutes. 2:25, 12:25. Is that all right?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Pete. You're good. That's why we wanted to give you that chance.
We took a vote in the past on our own agenda. We're back to our agenda. Yes, we took a vote a month or two, well, the last meeting, I think it was, about updating the language for the code of conduct internally. We did that through the the next step processes, which was Mary Beth putting this, through the next steps, it came back with just some extra language. So
Yes.
because it came back with that extra language, we have it again. Nothing substantially has changed, at least not in what we've already added. Just the two extra paragraphs. So if you're looking at what I sent, and I guess it could be cross-referenced with what Mary Beth has too, but
So you
There
have, I gave you a copy of the red line code of conduct of what you guys had voted on to support
right,
for our board of selectmen member, that's for
Thank
you.
Yep.
And what came in from the town, this came in from the town council again. What?
so essentially, if you look at the email,
Well done.
Score.
if you guys are looking at the email, where Mary Beth had sent us to our review, stapled to the 3 paragraphs. Okay.
Yeah.
Maureen, right there, that page right in front of you, the 3
Right.
paragraphs. Nope, the one to your right, that one.
Oh,
All right,
Yes, that's the language
Okay.
that came from the town
All right.
attorney.
it is the same. It is the same.
Okay.
So the first paragraph of these 3 paragraphs,
Mhm.
the first paragraph is
Thank
what
you,
we
Mary.
already came up with. That is our language.
Right.
It is simply just the following 2 paragraphs after that, that are the additional paragraphs the town council has added, which is really just more of following the same, in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mary Beth, but these next 2 paragraphs are the typical language for any process that they needed to add in. We just didn't add that stuff in. So we did paragraph 1 as a group.
Yep.
And these other 2 paragraphs are what the town has deemed necessary for the other steps, the legality of it all.
Yes, in a nutshell, yes, for the
Yeah.
legality.
Legality.
They had it before they considered it a liability.
I don't know the reasoning. I just know that this first paragraph is what we had, and the other 2 paragraphs are what they've added to follow the steps for all the other things that are in the code of
When
conduct.
as you know, someone's been put on permanent
They need
suspension.
certain notice
They-
days, they
yes,
need,
that's what he
response
just
times,
added.
all that stuff that we
He-
just didn't address.
He put in the minutia.
Yep.
That we needed to pay
Yep.
attention to make sure we were doing it correctly.
Yeah.
That's all.
So
So.
that's the reason it's back in front of us.
So the reason I'm asking for you to vote for it is because if you do, I can now get a hold of Keith and he can put this on the agenda for the Board of Selectmen, that they can vote to include this and wrap it back into the code of conduct.
Yep.
Because as you know, they have the final say.
Yeah, that first paragraph is still the meat
Mhm.
and potatoes of what we
Right.
already voted on.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
anybody want to make a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept it as written.
You have a second? Thank you. Sorry, I'm just writing. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. All right,
And,
so budget review, there had been a request to put the budget review on.
so I don't have any of the reconciled statements, but this is the fiscal year 25 budget that I have attached to your packet today. Patty is, I don't know if you know this, Patty's out on family leave, and she's our admin for all of that stuff. So I'll have an up-to-date budget report, hopefully for the September meeting. We're still not certain when she's going to get back.
Okay. So what we could do is really, now that we have this in front of us, we could just move this to September, and so we have time to review it. If anybody has,
Well,
questions?
there's nothing, I mean.
There's nothing to vote on, of course. No, I understand.
The budget is fixed. It is
Right.
what it is. This is what town meeting voted, and that's what we work with for the whole thing. Thank you for coming today. I appreciate that. I'll see you at the Board of Selectmen's meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds great.
All right. Thank
So
you.
yeah, if there's nothing.
Nice meeting you.
Okay,
Nice
good.
to meet you as well. Thank you for
Bye,
having
Missy.
me.
Thank you.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you for coming, Missy.
Yes, of course.
All right, so we've got that to look at. If anybody has questions, you can bring your questions next month. All right. The usage agreement. Building usage agreements. So we had,
The
original.
Red line, changes
right,
to the building usage.
right. So my instinct is now, this is the first time that we're seeing the red line proposed changes.
No, I gave them to you 2 months ago.
I don't remember ever getting the
Yeah,
proposed
no,
changes.
no,
We
you
never-
did get
we
the
never got-
changes. No, I gave them to you. I gave you the changes 2 months ago. And then when we were gonna come back in July, we couldn't really discuss them because I was just handing them out at that point. So we were gonna discuss them in July. So I'm gonna make the assumption right now that
We're not ready yet.
you're not, it's fine, no, it's
yeah.
fine. So
All of my
so
notes have
because-
indicated that we
just
were,
to make sure
we were
though,
passing this
does
on.
everybody have this?
The red, does everyone
Get the
today have the red
lines.
line version?
Yeah,
We
but
only have red line, but not your change.
You don't have the red, it's in your package
The
right
new
there.
one, the new one we
Yeah.
have.
Okay,
But
so.
we don't have any old one that you had changes. We just had the original.
Yeah.
Before you.
That's what
even
she's saying.
did
Yeah, I'm of that same consensus that this is the first time I think we're seeing the red line.
Today.
Definitely.
We'd had, in the prior meetings that we had, I had we had this printed but without red lines given to us and, which is why I've been asking for the red line, so for what the requested changes were so that we could review them.
What's funny is that I didn't even have, I just copied
It
it
was
from
there.
the last packet. So
Sure.
I knew, it's
Yeah.
fine.
And
It's
now,
fine.
now we have it.
Okay.
That we
We
had.
have it.
Well, you guys have had this one for quite a while, right?
Yeah.
The original.
But this is what I want you to review.
Yep.
The one with the red lines for next month.
Yeah.
Okay? So we'll put this on the agenda for September. Okay.
Don't lose this copy. I'm not making more.
I'm not making more. You know?
I don't have a printer, so.
Don't lose this.
Oh, we have a meeting.
I'll take care of you. I got you, Mom. Don't worry about it. Okay.
This is her new one.
The one with the red. Yeah.
Yeah, the one with the red.
This is
Yes,
what
yes,
we're
yes.
gonna
Okay.
For September.
New, right?
September, and then mark it September, okay?
That means.
Mark it.
If it has red
We're gonna
lines
discuss
on
it
it,
in
if it has
September.
red wording,
Okay.
it is
Like,
today.
no, it's a COA.
It is
They
today.
made
That's the one we
it
have to
specific to say seniors.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but over here like this.
2020.
All right, moving on. Outreach position, update. Do we have any updates?
Let me introduce you to my update.
Yay. All right, we're moving on to outreach update.
So, Jenny, no, put your chair right up. Just come right up.
It rolls.
It rolls.
Careful.
Woo, yay, look at this. So, I'd like to introduce to you, Jenny Stiers.
Hi, Jen.
Jenny started with us a
Jenny.
week ago yesterday, and she's doing great. She's a real trooper, as they say.
Another week.
Started.
She came out.
Has it been 2 weeks
She
or 3
came
weeks?
back.
2 weeks or 3
Yes.
weeks?
Started a week.
Oh, 1 week. 1 week. Oh, wow.
Started
on the fifth.
Okay,
Yeah, she
great.
started on the fifth. So we're very excited because, as you guys know, it took a while for us to get that job description codified, solidified, defined, and refined to be able to get Jenny here. So we're already talking about a number of things that we're doing. We're going to, we've revised already the process by which fuel assistance applications are being done. What we're going to do is run a once a month meeting where she's going to be working with the people that are new applications as well as recertification applications. And they're going to have their applications with them, and they're all going to be doing them together in the big room. She's going to walk them through the process in a meeting format. And then like our Shine, what she's going to do on Wednesday afternoon, she's going to start taking appointments for people, mostly with the new applications, that she's going to see them from 12 until 4 on Wednesday afternoons. So this is not just people dropping in randomly and saying, I need help. You want to see her like Shine, you sign up for Shine. And then if you want to come to the meeting and do the training and see how she can help you fulfill fill out your application and everything, that's once a month. So you'll be signing up for both of those. It just lessens the chaos of what fuel assistance means for us during that November to April period. We're also revising the grab and go programs. That program started back during COVID, and we were all food, we had all had issues trying to access food. But that hasn't, it hasn't changed since we were giving food out to everyone. So what we're doing is we're looking at the individuals that receive fuel assistance, SNAP benefits, that are in housing, that perhaps are, on other, some form of assistance. And we're going to be looking to cull our list down so that we're going to up the number of people, needy people that need it, and get them those bags by taking the list that we have and bringing them over to the new list, but also identifying others that have never been on that grab and go bag list. So that means that her task now is to take all 2,000 list of names. And this was only made possible because of the massive project that Deb undertook over the last, 7 months, calling out and coming up with a current working list of people that are registered here at the senior center. She's now going to be able to go through that list and see who's there and move everything from the My Senior Center platform to a more secure platform and start contacting people, letting them know, doing some of the work on the grab and go bags. She's been busy. She's been very busy in just the last week alone. So Jenny, is there something you'd like to say?
Other than, I'm excited to be here. I've got some experience. I come from the Weymouth COA, so I've got some outreach experience and some other community type experience that's wicked helpful. And I'm just super excited to be here and to work with you folks and the other seniors. First week is any indication of how the future will be. I've been very pleased. It's been a lot of fun.
Good.
A lot of excitement. So
We had an open house. We had a meet and greet for her last Thursday. So a lot of people, showed up to do that. And she does have extensive experience. She has 5 years with Weymouth. I spoke to her former boss yesterday and apologized and thanked her. Because I wanted to let her know how much we appreciated her and we were gonna take very good care of her.
Great.
Yeah, and she comes to Weymouth by way of a ministry background as well. So this is not just a vocation, if you will, it's an avocation. This is something that has mattered in her life and how she does things. And so I think it's a wonderful mix, and we've never had anybody like this before doing outreach. But we're really, really happy to see that this position has been filled so amply by Jenny. Really tickled pink about this.
Thank you.
Good things.
Welcome.
Welcome.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Very good.
We'll keep you busy.
No, you're good. You're good to go. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Nice to meet you too.
Hang in there.
There was,
Hang in there. Just call me.
Director's report for the month of December. And this is how we used to give us our reports way back then. And here's the December 2021 outreach report that was made. Do you remember?
I wasn't here.
oh,
in
she wouldn't have been, it
2021.
wouldn't have been Mary Beth.
Okay, that was like where I was going.
Oh.
So this was before, this was
21.
Tuesday, January 11th, 2022. When did you start here?
July 2022.
No, I don't think it's funny. I just didn't know, so I just wanted to get rid of it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
On that, grab and go, will there be people being taken off that list because they don't meet the requirements? Okay, so we should be
How would-
prepared for some.
Now, we do
things.
have elderly people here that have a lot
We know.
that have a lot of pride.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but our problem is that there are people that are coming to take the bags that are not, they were just part of the COVID group that was getting the
Right.
bags.
No, I understand that.
And so they're not, they don't qualify. And we need to go back to the reason why grab and go bags exist. And grab and go bags were never meant for those people that were able to go out and take care of doing this for themselves.
Mhm.
Now, with that said, wonderful thing about how we're approaching this is that we know our residents. And we are going to be very tactful about whether someone's been on that list and they may not be receiving services or of any kind. But I know how they live and I know where they live and I know the circumstances. And so they're not going to be removed from the list.
Right.
Because they need to be, they need to be able to receive
And I'm
those
sure we
facts.
need people.
And so-
That have to be added to it
Yes, and
also.
so we're also looking at the list of the people that don't receive them to find out, do they want to receive
Mhm,
them,
mhm.
right? But if anybody ever knows someone that needs to be added to that list, you talk to Jenny or just talk to me,
Yeah.
and we will add them to the list,
Great.
okay? We just, because we need, you are our eyes out there. We have a list of people and it constantly is fluctuating, with people moving or passing or, you know, going on, getting services. And frankly, our database in outreach has not been updated in a year.
Mhm.
And the documents that we do have prior to that are not helpful right now. Okay, there's a lot of stuff in there that we really have to look at. And I tasked her with literally reaching out to every single senior in the town of Kingston. So she's either going to be speaking with them, she's going to be sending an email, she's going to be sending a snail mail card, she's going to be doing something. And so, and let me just say this, one of the biggest reasons why she accepted this position was because she doesn't want to be sitting in that chair all day long. She wants to be forward-facing, eyes on the community, to be able to identify who those people are that we can help before they slip through the cracks. And that is single-handedly the hardest thing for any one of us to do because we don't know until it's too late.
Yeah.
How many seniors in the town?
4,000. Oh, then tiny little, a little over 4,000. Right. 2,000 of them are currently signed up with us and using the senior center.
2,000?
Yes. So we're gonna
So
start
how-
with the active list of the 2,000 and then go back to the rest of the people that haven't signed up here.
That's interesting, because I was curious too, how are you gonna get the information about the aging friendly, dementia program to anybody outside of the senior center? Will you be mailing?
So when we did this before, I know that Old Colony was saying that they have the same ways of getting things out, so that the Survey Monkey through having physical surveys available, having listening times, having meeting times set up just to do the survey, having the survey online. There's just any number of different ways that can be done.
I don't mean to open that whole thing.
No, but
I was
it's
curious.
important because it's not just our age group.
Right.
I think we determined when we were talking about
Before,
UMass
we
that we're
wanted to do it
looking
the
at
group.
55.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no problem even lowering it to 50, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, because I think those are the ones that really are taking care of their parents.
And you're gonna need them to become interested because they
Yes.
would do well
They're-
on a task force.
They're the ones that are gonna
They're
be
gonna-
most interested in the task
Right.
force because they're the
They're gonna-
ones, their kids perhaps are, ready to fly the coop, but they're still taking care of parents. And so it matters.
Yeah, I know
to
the
them.
Duxbury sent out a questionnaire and they got very few back after sending out 5,000.
How many responses did they get?
Um,
900 something?
yeah, there wasn't 1,391,
So
1,391.
that's actually
That's
not a
not
bad
bad.
at all,
Right.
because if you get
That's
anywhere
good.
between, I think
Over
it's like
20%.
18 and 23% is considered to have a
So
good,
that's what they got back.
yeah, 18 and 23 is generally a good feedback from them.
And then you're gonna have to think about, now will the grant cover mailing? This is, will they
Right.
cover
I know.
postage?
Yeah,
Baby
we'll go-
So much
steps,
stuff
baby
to-
steps. Yeah, no, I get it. I
I'm
totally
already
get this.
there, as you can tell.
Yeah, because you've already seen Duxbury doing this and you understand what this means.
Yeah,
No,
it was a very good
just,
meeting.
and so that you understand this, budget season, I know we're only in August, but budget season opens very shortly. So I'm gonna be doing my 26 budget and I'm gonna be creating a budget based upon what I need, not what it is that I have to present. I need to fight for the budget and I need to make sure that they understand that some of what I'm asking for is gonna have to do with
They
the,
should give
with
us more
this.
money.
Well, We all want more money. We just have to justify the money.
If anybody's listening.
We're gonna move on.
Moving on.
because That's,
So
we could spend a whole other
yes.
meeting doing
I
that.
didn't realize we weren't done, sorry.
Price, so there was a request to ask this question about, prices for our menu items, could those be published in the Anchor? There was a request for that to be made.
I'm sorry. it
So
is
right
in
now, the
Anchor.
menu's on the Anchor, but the pricing apparently isn't.
No, the pricing's there.
I thought it
Yeah,
was
the
there.
pricing is there.
Then never mind.
It's actually, as a matter of fact,
I've got an answer.
Yeah,
Okay.
you should have it. It should
I
be
didn't
on the
cross-reference, I'm sorry.
I don't see the price,
No, there's no prices.
no prices,
I thought they were.
No.
Unless they were.
nowhere.
okay.
All right,
We're doing the September newsletter. I'll make sure they're on there.
great. Easy enough?
They're cheaper than we can post.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a bad thing.
It's not gonna be shocking.
As a matter of fact, I asked, today I asked Holly to send them out and put them on, post them to the town website.
Okay.
So the menu, I've been sending it out to all of Kingston and, starting this week, I started doing it for the town website.
I got a question, if I can,
Quickly.
ask, I
Yeah.
want to ask Mary Beth.
Yeah.
Say, for instance, we take this, okay, and with the prices on it, and put like a menu on each table. You know, like when you go to.
Yeah.
I was down my sister's down in Harwich, and we went to this Piccadilly Cafe.
I know the one you're talking about.
Oh, my God.
I
Well,
know.
they have a menu.
place
right
is
on the-
amazing. Oh, my God.
amazing.
On each table.
Yes.
Yes.
What do
Okay.
you think?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not a problem. That's not a problem.
That
Well,
way
let me
we're-
just say Holly can do that.
Yeah.
Holly, are you listening?
Holly, you listening to the menu?
Yeah, well, we've got the stanchions.
Yeah.
We're holding them and we
Yeah.
just print them up on a card.
Yeah.
There's only 9 tables. It's not a
Okay.
big deal. Not a
Yeah.
problem. No, I'll take care of that.
All right, good.
How, can I ask how many lunches?
I'm
Well,
getting.
I'm gonna let Mary Beth get to her director's report. Moving to the director's report.
Moving to the director's report.
Sorry.
Okay.
So we've,
So,
Done 1 and
moving
2.
down to cafe statistics, June, we had 245. July, we had 239. And each one of those 2 months, we were closed a day.
How much
And-
money did we get?
I don't know. That's the number of meals that were served. So it all depends upon the,
What they,
what the item cost.
really, yeah, it's input versus equals output. So it's not what, it's, the question is, it shouldn't, in my mind, it's not related to what did the cafe earn. They don't
how
earn
many
money.
people? Yeah.
They're just paying for the cost to
Well,
prepare
and I think
meals.
to put it in
So it's like
perspective too.
input is input's the same as output,
Yeah.
an
So-
equal number.
So say, going back to that Thursday luncheon, the luncheon always cost us 2 to 3 times what we were charging for it. I mean, we're charging $4 for it. But that one meal that we were putting together in the kitchen literally was costing, I mean, anywhere from $12 to $18 per person.
Sure.
So we always were at a loss leader. I mean, when you looked at the amount of money that was taken in for, because this is actually considered town revenue. We don't see it. It goes to the town as revenue to actually offset the amount of money that they give us in our budget that you guys got to spend for food. So that's we're gonna give you the money, but you're gonna take the money that you get for the lunch and
That's
that's
not a
gonna help
revenue
us.
producer for the
That's
season.
fine.
No,
Yeah.
I know, I used to collect money.
Yeah.
I remember giving it back.
Yeah.
It was like you almost broke even if you were lucky.
No.
It's what they gave you.
No, we never broke, we didn't even
No,
come close to
just-
breaking even,
no.
not even close. Because the cost of the food. So anyway, so, and one of those days, I think it was that 4th of July, that was a Thursday. And we opened up Fridays now in July, where we're open on Friday. And, our numbers on Friday have been.
Aren't they nice?
Well, you got a
Yeah.
great group of people on Friday that are in for the
All day.
Needlers. And so he told me last Friday when he closed the cafe, he had, Thursdays are typically our biggest days. We do anywhere from 32 to 36 meals on Thursday, right? And he did somewhere, I think he was telling me he did 27 or 28 meals just on the Friday
Yeah.
alone. So, yeah,
And Fridays were an addition, nothing really
This is-
suffered
we
for
were
Friday.
only open 3 days, so we added the
We
Friday.
added the Friday, right?
And I'll tell you what's
Yeah.
more important than anything. We are seeing people that
we
have
never saw.
never
Yeah.
walked into this building before.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're raving about the food, and they're raving about being down here. They've never seen us before.
And we do have a lot of single people that are coming in that are meeting other people, which
Yes.
is very, very
Yeah.
nice. They sit.
Yeah,
you
I
know.
heard somebody saying, oh yeah, I called her, I told her to meet me down at the senior center, we're gonna have lunch.
Yeah.
That was her walking in the back, so. Yeah.
So Monday officially is the only day that it's not open.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
Exactly.
great.
Pea
Um,
soup was delicious.
yeah, their pea soup is really, his pea soup is good. So then we've got, next thing down on the list is I bought a half-court pickleball setup. We are going to be starting pickleball here at the senior center on Tuesday evenings. We have an instructor coming in on September 10th that is we're going to advertise this. Anybody that wants to play pickleball, come and learn how to do it. And if we need to bring her in for an informational thing to teach people how to do this, we're happy to, she's from the rec. It's a half-court setup, so
Where we
it's
do
half the
watch.
width of the court. So, and it's gonna be in the room where you guys play bocce on Friday afternoon, but it's gonna be on a Tuesday night. Yeah, so I'm really excited about that.
I'll come and watch.
Bocce is a blast.
Yes.
I've heard. You even got Deb, the volunteer, playing with you,
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
We
saying
have
something.
They're crazy.
They are a little
Yeah,
crazy, but
they
that's
are
what's
a little
We need
crazy.
more balls. Well, because our teams are getting bigger.
Oh, so but wait a minute, you're not supposed to have any more balls.
Why not?
What do you mean?
No, only
Because
four
we can only have 4 on a
That's-
team.
yeah,
that's
But
how
we have more people who want to be on
They can
teams.
play the next.
You can't, they
round.
But they
can't- you
still
can't
play with the same amount of balls.
than a
Wait a
team.
minute.
The teams can
You're
only,
not gonna give up your team to let somebody else come in and
I
play?
would.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you would not. Oh, you can't.
all right.
Sorry.
We'll have this
I
conversation
gotta
off
take
camera.
the bocce ball conversation
We'll
off.
have this conversation on camera.
Sorry.
Holy smokes. Okay, so, the cooking demo, which had been in the past, just film, showing you how to cook a meal and then bringing it out and everybody sampled it. This is exciting because this Friday, the cafe's closed on Friday and he's now gonna be doing a cooking demo that has a full meal available for $5. And we're full. We have 30 people signed up for this cooking demo. So we're excited.
So is that one Friday a month?
One Friday a month. Yep, that's how we're gonna be doing that. I am in talks with a woman to bring a Pilates class to the senior center on Tuesday nights. So the pickleball will be over on the big side of the wall. And the Pilates lady will be in here doing a Pilates class. And then
Price? I'm sorry, price wise.
all of our classes, by and large, except for Neil on Wednesday, are $5. And so, this is not your mama's Pilates. This is on the floor Pilates. So this is,
So don't use it.
so yeah, if you can't get back up again, I don't think this is the class for you. I'm just saying, yeah, no,
It's for the
this is,
younger people.
I know. We're trying to, there's other things that we do that
Yeah.
take the place of the Pilates, but just saying.
Playing bocce or playing.
Exactly. Then we're really tickled because Nancy Frank sells out this room when she comes once a month. So
Oh, yeah.
we booked her through the end of the year. And God willing, and the creek don't rise, we're gonna book her for 2025. The next thing is a change in the Thanksgiving and Christmas lunches. We received an email from the president of the Friends on July 7th that said that since they hadn't received a request from the Council on Aging for funds for either the Thanksgiving or the Christmas lunches, they've made other plans for their own Thanksgiving and Christmas luncheon. So the Council on Aging will be holding our own Thanksgiving luncheon on 11/14, and then we're doing our Christmas lunch on 12/12. In a separate email, the Friends let us know that their Thanksgiving lunch is November 20th and Christmas lunch is 12/18.
All right.
Okay.
How will ours be funded?
The regular way.
Okay.
Yeah, this is, the Thanksgiving one is going to be cooked by Phil. Some of the food will be brought in from the outside. I'm just gonna tell you, the star of the show will not be turkey. It will be part of the meal, but there will definitely be other things that are going to be served. Like here at your house, you don't just have a turkey on the table, you have other dishes that go along with it. We're trying to really make this far more family friendly and include other dishes that, you get enough turkey during Thanksgiving anyway, so let's bring some other things in. And then we're trying to do a Christmas thing that's just gonna be a little off the Richter scale, but we're trying to figure out how we're gonna do it. We're thinking Chinese, to be perfectly honest with you. Something different.
Lots of people do it on,
New Year's.
in New Year's.
Yes,
And
but
and
this is,
Christmas
but this isn't just the Christmas lunch. This is a Christmas / New Year's lunch. So,
Going out.
well, we're trying to do the lasagna for Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah, so,
Stay
steak.
with that.
I like
Steak-
lasagna with my turkey.
See,
Yes.
I like both
or
of those.
stuffed shells or.
Yeah.
We have lasagna with our turkey.
My question is, who doesn't,
Right.
right?
Well, and it does benefit, there's a benefit that you can make less turkey because you're supplementing now with a
Right.
pasta.
Right.
Yep.
You know, so there is that.
So we're kind of
Offset.
thinking of doing this where you get a choice of this dish or this dish and you pay for that because we need to put the two pieces that we're trying to do this are going to be coming from outside from a caterer, but everything else, Phil's gonna be cooking and he's gonna be doing, the dessert himself as well. So we just want this to be and a little bit of entertainment and, just have some good
It'll be
food and
different, it'll be
company.
good. Well, they're still gonna have the friends will
And
still have
have
their.
their friends.
Well,
Yeah.
we asked them for their dates because we did not want to,
Yeah.
compete against what, they're gonna have whatever they're gonna do, they're gonna do. And we're gonna do what we're gonna do. And so I think this is fine. I think this is, progress.
Gives us two meals.
Okay.
I think it's more, and again, I think it's more events for the seniors. I think that's what's really important. So, yes.
You mentioned Chinese.
Eh.
Christmas.
Yes, it's Christmas / New Year's and we're all thinking Chinese because this is what we do.
Egg rolls all around.
Egg rolls for everybody. Dim sum. Wow, let's just do dim sum. I'm sorry. Then
Very-
y'all met Jenny Stiers, our
Yep.
new outreach coordinator. So
Very good.
basically that's it.
Okay.
So
I do not have a chairman's
do you want
report.
me to go see if I can, does anybody here want lunch that you want me to run out and see if I can hold Phil for lunch?
No, I.
No.
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna run in there.
Yeah, let me go tell them we got a few people and
Yeah.
thank you very much, everybody. I think my work here is done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We, we'll just wrap up our meeting really quick, guys. Is there anybody that should be remembered? Anybody know of anyone that should be remembered?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Almost.
Well, in the more
Almost,
traditional
yeah.
sense.
Almost me.
Oh my gosh, okay. All right, our next,
My memories.
just keep it together for 5 more seconds. Our next regular meeting is September 10th at 11:30 here in this room. And yeah, it'll be September.
Already September.
It'll already be September.
This was a hard year.
The kids will be.
Craziness. I think we're all set, so it's 12:57. I will officially adjourn our meeting. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.